Hey guys, welcome to House 317. I'm your host Rodney, joined by permanent roommates Josh.
Hello.
And Brandon is at the beach, jerk. So we have a guest, and Mr. Ron is joining us today from Pop's Collection. We'll have a description of his link to his YouTube channel on the link below, or on the description below, or in the bottom section of this whole thing.
Also, kind of talk about that channel and what y'all do, because
yeah,
I think it's a little bit more unique than other channels that talk about Marvel stuff. So go.
Yeah.
Introduce yourself.
Yeah, so Ron Tweedy, again, I'm the proprietor of Pop's Collection, and me and my dad, actually, it's a podcast for the both of us. He has a very large collection, and Pops is his name that he's been given by my kids. And so he has stuff based off graphic novels, comics, and comic strips, and so we've just take, a movie off the shelf, and we talk about it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's good connection, too.
Yeah.
So y'all close, or he's...
Yeah, he's in Florida, so
Okay.
we do it via Zoom most days, but we're going to have a couple of live sessions coming up soon, because they're going to come up for my daughter's birthday. So
Nice,
yeah.
very nice, very nice. Well, we're here to talk about episode Dose of Loki. My goodness, guys, this was like I was just chugging right along, and then the end came, and I was like, I may have called it for the record. If you go back to episode 1,
I think I edited that out. I don't think you called it. I'm just kidding. You were just chugging along because that episode. I'm on the edge of my seat. Like, I don't know if that's just me in general now with all these shows, because I feel like that's
because you have to pay attention so much. There's so
Yeah.
much going on, little Easter eggs here and there. I mean, it was just full, and it just made my heart very happy. What else can you say? What else can you say?
Yeah, Ron, you want to take the lead on, I guess, initial reaction to this craziness?
Well, certainly, it was much different than the first episode. In that first episode, kind of muted. You get introduced to a couple characters, but you really don't know what's going on. And this one is just explosion of all things. They're going all over the place when it comes to time and space and just a lot of crazy stuff. So
we got Loki going through orientation like he's a new hire. Like, I like that whole piece.
I know, like you were saying, like, it seemed like there was so much happening, but then you have scenes of him like in a library situation with the bell, and like there was never like a dull moment, even in those dull moments.
Right.
Like there was always something where there was, again, Tom Hiddleston just knocking it out of the park.
Yes.
Like, coming across the Asgard case file, and seeing the casualties, and then also seeing the Revenger code name kind of at the bottom. I thought that was a nice little throwback.
That is. So, and we also got to see kind of Mobius play with him a little bit, in that he kind of put the cards out on the table and said, and initially on episode 1, Mobius was just trying to get, not Morbius, Mobius. Mobius was really trying to get him to get Loki to join his side, right? But then by episode 2, you kind of see him getting a little sick of Loki, and just say, hey dude, all right, you got one of two options, and you can believe you're the one, and I need you to just pick one and let's go with it, because we need to solve this case. You kind of see the stress of trying to solve this case get to Mobius a little bit.
I'm starting to see his agenda form, like, other than just being a part of the TVA. Like, there's something else.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Deep down that, like, he's in it for himself type of situation.
Oh,
when
really?
When it comes to Lady Loki?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Huh.
And you can see definitely the relationship between him and Ravonna.
Mm-hmm.
Really, it's almost adversarial in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And so you're right. I think he does have a different agenda.
Oh yeah.
And in the comics, obviously, she's affiliated with Kang in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
And I think, and I know we're not in the theory section of it, but it feels like the timekeepers are made up, to be honest, in this episode.
Yes, almost like a Wizard of Oz thing.
Exactly, who's behind the curtain. Because everyone's being very shifty when we're talking about them. They're in the back room, or they're busy, and it feels like no one's really seen them. So who's pulling the strings? Is it Kang? And is he just writing what he thinks is best for him moving forward?
Does Miss Minutes play, like, that came out of nowhere? Like, I
Right.
thought it would just be cartoon here and there, but like she's an actual being.
Yeah.
It seems like it.
And is that just a like small little role, or does that play a larger role? Because that just like
that was
came out of nowhere.
interesting, and even Loki asked about that.
Can you hear me? Are you recording or are you alive?
Sort of both.
So we got Loki going through orientation. He's learning through files. We have the folks that go into this random 1985 Renaissance Fair situation. They get attacked.
Yeah, Oshkosh, Wisconsin.
Yeah, Wisconsin. And so they get attacked like normal. Everything else happens except she takes a hostage with her. And so, we didn't really know why until the end, where she said she gave away the location. Yeah, so what do y'all think is going on there? Like, she's saying it's the location of the timekeepers, but what's really going on there?
Yeah, I think it's legit. Like, I mean, obviously, if we're gonna skip to the end of it, obviously she bombs. Sends all the reset bombs to 12 to 15 different locations.
Yes,
is another thing we have to discuss.
Oh my gosh,
that's crazy.
Yes,
When you actually look through the list. But I want to say that I thought it was interesting that Loki was trying to scheme his way.
Oh yes,
in the tent, and I was trying to figure out like where he was going with that. Like,
he was just stalling.
I know he's stalling, and he mentions about stalling for her.
Yeah.
But then I didn't really. Maybe I missed something because I'm like, why would it? I don't
Yeah.
know.
It's hard to tell with Loki if he's just talking or just lying outright, and just he realizes that he's being played, and so that he's trying to position himself again into, well, I had some other scheme going on. Like, is that really what he had going on, or is he just trying to make himself feel a little bit better because he's also being played through all of this, especially by female Loki or Lady Loki?
Yeah, and Mobius for the most part.
Yeah, Mobius. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, he calls him out on pretty much everything.
That's true. That's true. I did appreciate his wanting to make a distinction between illusion manipulation and duplication projection. That's the kind of pedantry I love about
he does
Marvel.
both. He can do both.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Duplication casting.
Illusion projection.
No, they're two completely different powers, actually.
How?
Illusion projection involves depicting a detailed image from outside oneself which is perceptible in the external world, whereas duplication casting entails recreating an exact facsimile of one's own body in its present circumstance, which acts as a true holographic mirror of its molecular structure.
I'm on board for that.
And
Right.
they said that the different variants have different powers.
Sure.
And what we've seen from leaks from other languages on the credits of her name being Sylvie Lushton, or Ludson, I think that's what it is, who is the Enchantress. Which is crazy because I've heard that the actress who is normally dark hair, and that's what you would think with Loki being, would have dark hair, and that's how she is in the comics. She dyed her hair for the role blonde, which is Enchantress.
That is true, yeah.
Is it going that way? Is it a mixture of Lady Loki and Enchantress, which is...
And, Marvel does that sometimes. They bleed two characters together.
That's true.
And
because she was doing legit, like... She was, like, putting herself into these other
possession.
beings.
She was straight
so
possessing.
that's a little bit different than what we've seen out of Loki.
Yeah, he needs the Mind Stone to do that.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, and I've seen a couple of folks allude to that, that it's probably a mixture of both, not necessarily Sylvia in it's of its own, but yeah, it would be extremely interesting just to have a separate variant that has two different pieces, two different heroes, two different persons.
Yeah,
that would be an interesting take on it for sure.
Yeah, because she didn't want to be called Loki.
Right, that's right.
Obviously, she has the horns, but take that for a grain of salt.
Yeah. So when my favorite part is Loki's development as an agent. I think you mentioned this a little earlier.
Yes.
In that Detective Loki or Agent Loki, he's developing his little skills, right? And so when he's going through the files that Mobius just has him do just so that he'd leave him alone, he actually finds something.
Yes.
Like he finds that she's been hiding in these pocket apocalypses or just apocalypses in general because variant energy can't be detected in those pieces. Yeah. And so I found it hilarious when they went to Erupting Volcano Place.
Yeah, Pompeii.
Pompeii, yep. And Mobius is like, we're not supposed to be here. Be very quiet.
Yeah, make a bird noise.
Make bird noises.
That was
and
the
he's
test.
like,
The test.
huh? That was great.
Yeah.
Be free, goats, my horned people. Is
Yeah.
that what he called
Yes.
them?
That's brilliant.
It was
Yeah.
really good. But yeah, no. So it shows like his intelligence. It shows that he is invested into figuring out what's going on because he does feel in some way, shape, or form inferior to this Lady Loki who's figured all this out and has her own angle, and I think he's just interested in what her angle is.
And the other part of that is when Mobius kind of dangles the possibility of him meeting the Time Lords.
Yeah, it's such a bad
Timekeepers.
Timekeepers, sorry.
Yeah,
I always
yeah.
get them mixed up with
No, you're
another
fine, you're
sci-fi
fine.
Same
series.
thing. Same thing.
Same thing. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Everybody's playing with time nowadays. And so, no, I mean, it is interesting because Loki definitely has an angle, but I don't think he's figured out what it is yet.
Yeah, that's true.
Like, he's still trying to figure out where he's going to position himself.
Which is probably why he followed
right.
Lady Loki into the time door.
No doubt.
Yeah. And Mobius knew. Mobius knew that was going to happen. That he was going to get betrayed in some fashion. It just happened to be.
Well, he didn't stab him in the back at least.
50 times. And so, no. It was just real interesting because they introduced so much stuff throughout the episode.
Can we talk about how our world is going to crap
Right.
in the future, like 30 years?
Yep.
So what do you think about that? Because to me, I wasn't all that convinced this was 2050. Like, I mean, it didn't look that futuristic to me.
No, which
Maybe that's true.
But actually
But
makes sense to me because
let-
like 30 years, like if you really think about it,
Yeah.
doesn't really seem that far off. Although the fact that it was categorized as a category 8
Yeah, that's
when there's only 5,
Five,
Right.
right.
that's insane.
Yeah.
So
So if we talk about Back to the Future in the 80s and how they portrayed 2002,
yeah, we still don't have hoverboard.
we
I need to borrow your hoverboard.
it's not supposed to look different. I think we just have. There was a little hollow projection outside of
The
the
new name tag.
Yeah, that was
tags,
pretty.
new name tags.
I
Randy.
feel like should already be a thing.
Yeah,
Like,
digital
right?
name tags. Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
That's such
That way
an
you don't
easy
have to
thing
make
do.
them every time you change people.
Right.
Figure it out. And so no, I mean, so at that point, there is no trust with Loki, no trust, and then he's trying to gain their trust by going with. I don't
B-15.
like that lady either. B-15?
Yes.
B-20. B-20 was the one that was
B-15?
captured.
C-20 was captured.
Okay.
I don't know.
A57.
Yeah.
Bingo!
They're like stormtroopers at this point, right?
So he's trying to gain their he's still trying to gain their trust, although they have shown no wiggle room with him whatsoever. Even with the scene with the librarian, what do I have access to? And she gives him this little
folder, yeah.
This is
Brilliant.
what you have access to.
Which is then another case study on himself.
Yes.
Which was great.
Yeah.
Yes. So no, I mean, I think this episode did a really good job of unpacking their relationship together, them being really defining the detective piece to it or agent piece to it, and then kind of figuring these pieces out together as a duo, and then how that all unraveled at the end with him really just trying to figure out what she wanted from him. She's saying it's not about you.
What is this about?
This isn't about you.
I want to say, like, in the Walmart of the future, like, the cinematography in that whole sequence of events was amazing.
It was, yeah.
Like, the shot of him right before she's getting ready to go through the time door was just a slow fade out. And it was all red. Yeah. I think it's nice to point out some of those cinematography of the MCU, which is...
So was the red something intentional or something that foreshadows something? Because, with red, with the power going out, sometimes you have the red lighting.
Yeah, emergency lights.
But it's definitely not that bright.
No.
And then it came back as it changed shots. It came back and it was
Flickering
regular lighting.
lights.
Yeah. And
That's a
so
good question.
is that foreshadowing something? What are we missing?
Mephisto, there you go. Yeah.
Brandon's not here, so I have to say Mephisto. He's been on that train since WandaVision, so it's kind of...
It just
give him a
had
hard
to
time.
come
Yeah.
It's Mephisto be.
Just had to come up.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, I still
Yeah,
have
it's
a little bit of trauma from all of my, the Quicksilver.
Yeah.
Pulling out the rug from under you.
Ralph Ballmer.
Yeah.
The event is the variant.
Anyway.
I tried, guys. I tried. So what are your thoughts? General thoughts of the episode? What did you guys feel was the most interesting piece? when we're talking about humanity for Loki, did you feel like there was any of that in this episode that pulled at him in general? We know he's a trickster. We know he's a liar. They say he's made for that role, the liar of that timeline.
I mean, you get some of that when Mobius is talking about the scared little boy. Him reading about Asgard, about Ragnarok. Where he's tearing up, but then he can just kind of close it off. So it's peeking through every now and then, but he's just shutting.
He certainly identifies as Guardian, right?
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't identify with the Frost Giant piece.
Right.
He does have connection with Odin, with Thor, with Asgard, and there's emotion tied to that. That's family to him.
And the same with the first episode, him having to process what Odin said about him recognizing him as his son.
Yeah.
But him having to process that in like a span of like 5 minutes.
Yes.
Right.
So obviously he's probably, I don't know. I mean, you
It's
get
a missed
Loki from
opportunity.
the Avengers, but he has to catch up to Loki at Endgame, which is that's a lot.
Yeah, and like you said, in the span of 5 minutes, which is incredible. Right?
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure he sees it as a lost, like he lost that experience. He didn't get to experience what I think he wanted to experience. So he yearned for that experience.
Yeah.
And so
Definitely.
I think he's in some way, shape, or form grieving not only the loss of his two parents, but grieving the experience that those relationships, where those relationships were versus where they went before they all passed away. And so there's a lot of that going on, and I think there's a lot. And so so I think that him wanting to figure this piece out with this variant Loki has to do somewhat with that piece, that loss of time that he had, in the hopes of him being able to be placed back into his timeline to gain those memories that he just watched on a screen versus experiencing them.
So you think that's his play? Is obviously not to die.
Right.
Not to be disintegrated. Or how did he put it? How did they put it? Remember, because he's like, oh, and that was just a nice way of saying everything's being disintegrated.
Yeah, reset or
yeah,
something like that.
Yeah, I guess the correct terminology is reset or deleted or
that's
something not good.
Something not good.
No.
Yes. So tell me your favorite parts of the episode.
It was the Walmart scene. Or Rock's
cart. So I'm assuming it's a Roxxon Corporation retail chain. Could be.
Which throws into Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
No, I would say that scene, and more specific, the he's worthy of a Roomba.
I didn't think of it that way, but that was good. That is good.
All of a sudden he threw his hand out. I'm like, wait, what's he doing? And then all of a sudden there's a Roomba.
Yeah.
Ours is named Ramona.
Yeah.
DJ Roomba.
DJ Roomba, turn it up.
I think the interesting thing is when Mobius and Loki are taking a break together, and they're talking about how, and Loki's kind of trying to, that was funny too.
Salad.
Yeah, that salad was completely ruined.
Why?
Yeah, but the other one that was interesting is that, Loki is completely dogging Mobius about, having this faith in these unseen, timekeepers or whatever, and then he's like, you were born of a frost giant, you were raised by a god. And it's like it is kind of exactly. It's the fact is that like at rock bottom, all of the origins that we have are magical in some sort of way. Yeah. So I thought that was a pretty interesting exchange between the two.
Yeah.
And it was interesting to me. He called it chaos.
Yes.
So he called birth chaos, and that whatever the environment that they're brought into is what creates the order of chaos, which bringing into the world is chaos.
Right.
So that was interesting to me because it kind of had, and not to bring religion into it, but it kind of had biblical pieces tied to it.
Sure.
Which in the beginning there was darkness, right? And so and then creating order after that. So him aligning that with chaos was interesting to me from a verbiage standpoint. That I was like, that kind of aligns with what they're talking about. So, my favorite scene is always the humor in it all. And so when he's messing up that salad, oh man, I was just dying.
And they took that other guy's string from the first episode,
right?
right?
That poor guy. That poor guy.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you, no. Do my juice. Can I have my juice box back, please? And so, no, that was my favorite. I think comedy in a show that is so heavy in thought.
So heavy.
Yeah, yes. It is really
first
nice.
episode, we had so much to process when it came to variants and a TVA. And this episode, there's a ton to process, whether it's Loki talking about image manipulation and all that, and trying to show the difference in that, and then him talking about Ragnarok and a variant not being able to be detected, and him trying to use a metaphor with a salad. So much information, but like you were saying, it works because they throw in humor right alongside it. So
you need that comic relief in something so dense.
That's right.
Yeah. And comics does a good job of that. Manga does a good job of that. And so it's something definitely necessary. And so Loki brings it too. I really, really, really enjoyed this episode. But now we got to get into theories because there's so much.
Yes.
So you sent me a text of a picture with all of the different time places that those bombs went to.
Biggest ones being Titan,
right?
Which obviously is Thanos.
Yes.
His planet. I can't remember the date off the top of my head, and maybe we can throw that in the. I'll get B to throw it in the description of all the places in a time frame. One is Ego. Way before, I think he was still trying to find his son. There was Asgard before the events of Thor.
Yeah.
There was Xandar before Guardians.
Wow.
There's so many different. Obviously, there's some places from the U.S. like ones during the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
Ones during the Columbus sailing. Oh God. That's just off the top of my head.
All notable locations that we just looking at them would know, something important happened during this time.
I mean, there's some random ones thrown in, like Portland, Oregon, like 2015. Don't know what that's about.
Okay.
So what do you think she's trying to do there?
I have no idea.
So here's my thoughts. I think she just went straight to the TVA after it's emptied out because she created so many, not pocket dimensions, but different... branches. Yeah, she created so many different branches that everyone, because even, and I always forget her name, please help
Ravana.
Even Ravana had to pick up her dang stick and go take care of some mess. And
That's true.
I was hoping, she definitely bombed the main timeline, right? And so to try to create different variants, because she's not she doesn't align with how the timekeepers have said time needs to be.
Yeah.
I want choice. I want to be outside of choice. And if choice creates variant timelines, then we're going to do it. And so, so she did that, but I'm tweaking my theory there in that she's going to the TVA to go to the source to determine even if the timekeepers are even a thing. Because again, I don't think they're a thing anymore. I think they've been gone for a long time, and maybe just
Howard the Duck is behind it all.
Yeah,
Howard the Duck. I think just Kang is back there, manipulating everything.
I don't think. I know Brandon's all about Kang showing up. If he does show up, I think it's a last second.
Yeah, Richard E. Grant is in an undisclosed role, so that could be
on the show.
Yeah, that's what it says on one of the pages I read on that. So,
yeah, never mind. So, maybe I'll rewind all what I just said.
It could be. Who knows? Or it could be because somebody completely different. Who knows?
Yeah. So, Ron, what do you think is happening?
I think that Lady Loki is creating the multiverse of madness.
Well, but didn't somebody say in an interview that it's not tied? Now, they've lied to us before. They have to lie to us.
They trolled us with Evan Peters. I'm sorry. They trolled us.
They did.
Boner.
We're talking about the multiverse. It's happening, obviously, with Doctor Strange. And obviously with Spider-Man, we're getting some form of the past two franchises.
Right.
If you want. Past two Spider-Man, I guess would be the way to say it.
Right.
Yeah.
The more and more we're getting closer to the actual movie, the less I'm getting my hopes up that Toby and Andrew are going to be in the movie. I really think it's just going to be the villains now, which breaks my heart a little bit.
That's terrible if that's
true. And I hope it's not true, but I really think that's the way it's going.
Yeah.
Like, I think we're getting, like, Goblin, we're getting, obviously, Alfred Molina's back. Jamie Foxx is there.
Yep.
I really want there to be Toby and Andrew.
It'd be nice, especially with them, you know, it may be a troll, but giving us that glitch of the Spider-Man No Way Home title and giving us the little glitch that was on Twitter.
That doesn't...
It could, but it could. Mephisto. And so I mean, I really want it. I really want it. So you have Multiverse of Madness that could be connected to it. You certainly have Spider-Man No Way Home that'd be connected to it.
Yep.
And this is just the starting point that this created those many timelines, those different timelines that now everyone's trying to fix and everyone's trying to deal with. And then I think it absolutely makes sense. I really hope they go that direction.
It makes sense for Spider-Man now. Like,
it makes sense,
I'm going to bring Spider-Man up, but yeah.
But Spider-Man's not till December.
I know.
They have to keep...
Need a trailer.
Yes.
You'll get your rent when you fix this damn door!
Before we go on vacation.
It's going to happen.
Well, Ron, thanks so much for joining us. We appreciate it. Check him out, Pop's Collection. We'll put a video description or a description of the podcast in the bottom section of the YouTube section. I don't even know what it is. They do all the work. I'm sorry. And so thanks again for joining us. B, we expect you back next time.
Yes.
That way, please come back. Please, we need you.
I'll be watching.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Well, guys, thanks so much again. If you like what you're seeing, leave us a comment section. If you don't like what you're seeing, just leave us a comment in the comment section. Otherwise, subscribe, take care of each other, and peace.